Kia ora, Komi. Welcome to the Quality Antics podcast. We are currently set up here in your HQ.
We're actually in your office.
Yeah, well, our office
Yeah.
here at 6'4 Fitness in Wigram in Christchurch, New Zealand. Komi, what's going on?
Oh man, this is
Massive question.
yeah. That's pretty broad, but if
Yeah.
I put it in a nutshell, we're one day out of a 4-week isolation period for old mate COVID-19.
Yeah.
So preparation is definitely underway. Us as a business and just as people in general, just trying to get things organised to look after ourselves and look after everyone else around us, and just be, you know, in a good space mindset wise, and see if we can come out the other side of this, which no doubt we will. Yeah.
Let's rewind a really big chunk there, because we are in this weird isolation phase, but I really want to rewind the clock a little bit.
Yeah, we just jumped straight into it, didn't we?
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Where were you born? Where were you brought up? And what are you passionate about?
Yeah, well, to keep it brief, I was born in Invercargill.
Ooh.
I'm 28 years old. I have a mother and father. They were together they're still together now, actually, luckily. I've got 3 brothers. I've got one half sister and one whāngai sister, which is basically a sister that comes through the family from someone else. I left Invercargill when I was like 19. I'm again 28. Led me to Christchurch. I played rugby and touch growing up. It was like my biggest passions. I was in the gym from a young age as well, from about 14 or 15 years old. I got qualified as a carpenter, so I'm a builder by trade. All the while I was doing night school for business and personal training and Crossfit coaching at the time with my partner, and that would have been when we were like 21, and then now 4 years into having our own CrossFit affiliate. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's rewind. I got some
You
questions
love
for
your
you.
rewinds. You keep rewinding.
Yeah, man. Okay, so you're in Invercargill.
Yeah.
Then you make the jump to Christchurch. Why Christchurch out of all places? Was there?
Well,
a
I actually
lure
went to Australia first.
there? Ooh.
Yeah, I went to Australia. I was like, okay, I need to get out. I need to go explore some of my life.
Yep.
I thought I had exhausted my options in Invercargill. And then I didn't really like Aussie so much, so then I was looking to come back home. And I was thinking about Dunedin for study because Tolls was there.
Ah.
And
was Tolls on the scene at this stage?
yeah. I was probably like conflicted of like that I loved the woman that I'd probably try to, you know, push it down a little bit.
Yeah.
But I come back through to Christchurch to begin with, and they had not long had the earthquakes, and I had already done like 2 years of building anyway, and then I was just thrust into a job, and I was like, you know what, like, this is my gig. I'm going to be here for a while, and then haven't looked back really.
Yeah. Okay, so you're the madness of the rebuilding Christchurch, building, living that life, getting up, tradie life. And at what stage, because you're not doing that now, so at what stage throughout that tradie process were you like, wait a minute, was there an aha moment where you're like, this isn't for me? Or was it like a slow progression of just like some thoughts along the way? Or were you always wanting to make a move? Or what was the go?
I'm someone that likes to see something through, so I mean, getting qualified was definitely like going to be the bare minimum for me.
Yeah.
And because I was kind of probably like 30-40% through the process anyway by the time I had arrived here, I enjoy everything I do. I'm literally just like a person that is interested in everything.
Yeah.
If I don't like it because it doesn't tickle my taste buds, it doesn't mean I'm not interested in it, because I'm still trying to figure out why people like it. So in terms of trade or in construction, I enjoyed what I did because I thought I was good at it. I enjoyed the challenge. I liked the way that it stimulated my brain. But I realized that I wasn't living my life until 5 o'clock came, you know, and then I was like really getting into do the things that I wanted to do. Yeah. So, you know, at this stage, I'm pulling twice as many hours every day, but every day I get to do what I love. And I know it's probably pretty cliche, but I think that everyone yearns to do that thing in their life where they can do what they love. And it means that I'll get out of bed at 4 or 5 in the morning every day, and you know, get back into bed at midnight every night and just repeat. So that's kind of, I know now that I'm in a good space and that I am where I should be, at least for now. So yeah, I'm definitely not too concerned on the decisions that I've made along the way. And I'm probably a pretty firm believer in that. Make the most of whatever you are doing. I don't really get too concerned of the things that I'm leaving behind, or whatever else is on the table elsewhere, or any other doors that may be open. I'm just like, I'm just riding my own path at the moment, and give it all 100% attention.
Cool.
For sure.
And where did, like, obviously it sounds like health and like fitness and sport was a big part of your life. When did CrossFit in particular come in as like a focus?
Man, crazy story, like my first CrossFit session.
Really?
So, yeah, I was still playing rugby, still in the gym. I was in high performance academies my whole life, and so like I thought, you know, this dude, I'm strong, I'm fit, I'm fast, whatever. And my partner was like, yo, we'll go do some CrossFit. And at the time I was like, what is it? She showed me on YouTube, Rich Froning, of course.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, this dude is like the man. And then she's like, okay, well, I'm going to sign us up at a gym. And I was like, nah. And I think I was just a little bit intimidated. I thought like, yo, I'm fit, I'm strong, but I could do that. But I didn't really know if I could do that, you know, and I didn't want to know if I'd be put in the embarrassment box. And so she went down to her first session. I won't go naming gyms. But then she managed to drag me to another gym, another CrossFit gym. After probably like 3 weeks, I was like, yeah, okay, I'll come. And then in this CrossFit session, it was literally my first workout. And I mean, compared to the complexity that we right now and the workouts that we do, I mean, I've never been so humbled in my life. AMRAP for 8 minutes, as many rounds and reps as possible. 8 minutes only. I mean, anyone that says it's only 8 minutes, I mean, that could be the worst 8 minutes of your life.
Yeah.
It was push-ups, box jumps, and sit-ups. Like, it was nothing serious. And I swear to God, about 3 minutes in, I was going so hard, I almost shat my pants. I had to run to the toilet, and I sat on the toilet. There's nothing more kind of compelling than heavy breathing, panting, trying to take a shit. Trying to catch your breath, sweating, can't catch your breath. And then like still like, man, I gotta go back out and finish this thing. Like, I got 2 or 3 minutes to go.
Yeah.
And I did. But you know, it was so humbling. It put me in my place. I was like, man, 8 minutes of what I thought I could bench press this, back squat this, and I almost just shat my pants.
Yeah.
It's like
cracker.
For the next week, I was like, I don't know if I want to see that again.
Yeah.
I'm already great at something else. I can just stay in this lane.
Yeah.
But there was just something about being humbled that really kind of spoke to me. I was like, I want to know more.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah. So then I just dabbled, and then eventually that took priority and precedence in my life. And yeah, I'm glad I took that path.
Yeah. And so was Toles, your partner, also like, hey, let's do this? Sounds like she was already into it a few weeks in, trying to drag you along. Did she continue to go, or was there like ebbs and flows of you both being into it, or were you always pretty keen on it?
Nah, always pretty keen. She's like a great includer.
Yep.
She for those stages of my life, she was amazing. Even now, but more so then than ever. I was probably a person that wouldn't really dive forward into my actions as much, or execute plans and ideas and things like that. And she was just like, yo, let's go. And so like she probably like brought that out in me. And we went to business school. I was like, yo, I want to go to school. She's like, she signed us up. We're going. We're doing this 2 nights a week, 3 hours, boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Sweet, okay. Well, if you're in, like, I know I'm gonna pass. Yeah. if you're there, you're gonna help me through this. Correct. Like, I don't want to drag the chain or anything, but I need some help. Yeah. And like she was just there for me. And so like, yeah, she just a positive person, and being able to put us both in a position to grow as people and as a couple, and me individually, and not only herself, you know, but she was definitely a leader in that aspect. And yeah, I think she probably doesn't really understand like those things that she taught me in that time of our life.
Yeah. Buzz, eh?
Yeah. Because that's like the things that I teach now to everyone else.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's so cool.
You do you, boo.
Well, that's cool that, fingers crossed, when she's listening, she'll maybe hopefully hear something new that she didn't know about that kind of time in your relationship. We're in your HQ here. Talk me through the journey from shitting yourself in a CrossFit workout to owning your own gym and running your own business. What was the journey there?
Well, just to be clear, that there's still been plenty of moments in between that shitting yourself is still, a weekly occurrence. That could be nutrition time, or that could just be like absolute effort, or that could just be you just got it wrong. And I've ticked all those boxes. But on a more positive note, so 2013 we started. What is it now? 2020? Yeah. We started coaching, doing our internship and things like that.
Yep.
Then we transitioned out to another gym where Tol's coached alone. We had then a garage gym, and at this stage we're probably about 8-9 years into our training lives, and absorbing all the information from all of our studies and things. And then we transition out of that gym, just strictly to our home gym, not for long, for probably about 3 months. And I actually, at the end of my building career, I had a bad car accident. I got hit by a drunk driver. So I was a passenger behind the driver, and we got T-boned through this light that the drunk driver ran. And basically, like, it was a pretty severe crash. I was in hospital for 8 days. I got lucky. I'm so lucky. The driver had 26 broken bones and like internal damage everywhere. To this day, he's like still fighting some of the damages. And I mean, like, I've got a couple of injuries that are lasting from that, but it's nothing severe compared to that, or the silver linings that have risen from that situation. But that was like this really a moment, because we were in a moment at the time of like, we had our business plans ready, we had all the accolades ready, the certificates and whatnot, and we were kind of like, yo, let's either run this thing, like let's go now for the gym, or like I was also in a position of like my career was taking off as a carpenter as well, so it was like just caught between two, and I could have easily just got stuck and just stayed that path, and so that moment of that car crash, I was in hospital for 8 days. I was like, fuck this. I put all the steps into place of actually opening up the gym and just meeting with landlords and premises and lawyers and things like that. And then I tried to get back to work as soon as possible. I was trying to go back to work within like 2 weeks, and they just didn't clear me fit medically, and they were like, nah, you're not good. And I was like, oh, well, if that's the case, if that's what you say, I'm going to use this time to build my thing. And so just like stripped out the business plans and whatnot, done all the marketing and things like that. And at the time, she was working a full-time job, training, coaching, and doing her police studies, which was like 30 hours a week for that alone. And so she was just killing it on all fronts, like just long hours, and still just being a positive person. And I'm obviously down and out, just having this idea that could happen, but there's nothing like tangible to grab, but it's all just like, oh, it can happen. And so she was just kind of pushing me through that. And then luckily enough, we just started signing dotted lines, and we just took the leap of faith. And I think it came down to us like really looking at each other, and we said to each other back then, hey, what's the worst that could happen? And I mean, we were like homeless, lose everything, 2-minute noodles. We're like, been there, done that, easy compromise. Let's do it. So we took on our first premise. Turn up to the premise. It was supposed to be like a 4-year lease. Like, I thought I'd done all my due diligence and done all my research and understood property and marketing and housing and whatever. And the agent goes to me, nah, 4 years. I was like, nah, I'm not signing for 4 years. And 2 years with the option to re-sign. I was like, I'm going to be out of here in 2 years. I'm going to outgrow this. That was my mindset. And he was like, 4 years. I was like, not signing it. It's like 2 years, sweet, done. I was like, cool. Got to stripping out the building. Like, had to take out like these mezzanine floors, these steel beams and things like that. Just like luck of the draw, everything kind of fell into place. The gym opened. It was a small little shoebox. It was tiny. It was probably like as big as this room. But it worked. It absolutely worked. Tolls was still had a full-time job at the time, and I was just working in the gym, and we're like doing morning, evening, and lunch classes. We were it was a very small gym, and I think every day was still thinking about, or for me specifically, like just where my mind is like, we need to outgrow this. We need to get out of this like as soon as possible. We are limited here. We can't really like execute what we want to do. And fortunate enough, just under a year, we found another premise. But before that coming about, I remember getting in touch with the landlord at the time of the other premise. And he was the owner of Harcourt's Grenadier in Christchurch, so he's pretty high on the food chain. Yeah. And I remember kind of bullshitting a little bit and being like, "Man, you're my mentor. You're my business mentor." And he was like, "Get out of here, man. Like, what are you on about?" And then like one day he calls me up. He's like, "Bro, it's your mentor. I need you to do this, this, and this." And I was like, "Sweet, I've got him." Not like I've got him, but like we're gonna do this thing together. I was like, I need a bigger premise. Do you have anything within your company? Yeah. Just luckily, he was the guy that had the company with all the premises, right? Yeah. He was like, I put 4 guys on it to find you something. I'll give them a week. I was like, sweet. And the whole week, like, I had already looked myself, and I found the place that we're currently in. Yeah. And I was in chats with them. They weren't with his company. Yeah. And I was like, kept ringing all his agents. And I was like, what have you got? They're like giving me just terrible options. And I was like, look, mate, to our mentor, I was like, this is just not working. I found the place though. Yeah. We need this place. And it's just like, what can we do? It's not going to be through your company. So we can't like just throw our contract off the table and jump straight into someone else's. Like, but my thought process was like, maybe he'll allow us if we jump into something that was his, like more long term, obviously higher turnover rate and whatever. And so he's like, let's have a meeting. So, cool. Sat down for this meeting, pulled up the contract. There was like X amount of tens of thousands of dollars left on this premise and contract. Ripped it up.
Really?
Ripped it up.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Because he was my mentor. Crazy.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. So grateful and lucky for that opportunity. Wow. Very fortunate enough though that he ended up like selling the premise the week after we got out of there. Like, we just cleaned it up as best we could. Like, made it even better than what it was when we found it. Like, that was a big goal for us. Not only just to look after and say thanks, but just kind of show who we are as people, you know, like always leave something in a better place than you found it. And so yeah, just ripping up of that $40,000 contract was amazing. Yeah. And then we signed a deal for this one. Now we walk into here, and the guy, the agent, I can't remember his name at the time, but he I remember we're going through a couple of things with the how do we deal with that?
Oh, someone's at the door, guys. Give us a sec.
Yeah.
Okay, we are back from the interruption. Let's go.
Yeah, clap back to the agent of the current premise that we're in. My thought process was coming in here and being like, okay, well, we need to obviously grow our membership. To sustain the level of premise that we're at and the new expenses and overheads, because this was clearly significantly bigger than the last place, and that was like a huge scary moment. It's like, you just never know, can we do this? And so at the time I had this thought, okay, I'm going to come in and I'm going to ask for like two months free will, you know, where we don't pay any rent, just to allow ourselves to build our space out, fit it out, get our members running kind of, and then just generate the revenue and income to be able to look after ourselves. And just before the conversation started, he was like, yeah, so we could probably do like a period of free will of like 6 months or something. I was like, take it. Take it.
Love it.
I said nothing. Like, I didn't even bring it. As soon as he said 6 months, I snatched it because it was 3 times the amount of what I was prepared for. Yeah. And I was saying no more, right? Like half a year. You're going to give me half a year to figure this thing out, to really see if I can do this. Like, I'm going to take that opportunity.
Yeah.
And so in my mind, it was like, well, right, we've got 6 months to figure out if we're good enough to make this happen, you know, and little be known.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So you, at this stage, though, you've got the premise. Did you have rig, gear, or did you slowly accumulate that over time, or like, how did that work?
Yeah, well, clearly we still
here.
had the gear from
the
last box.
Yep.
But then, oh man, this is like, if you go to the archives, like there's still like photos, videos of the first entry into this building. 3/4 of the floor was still concrete because our tiles didn't fill it up. Our rig was just like a small little portion of the corner wall.
Whoa.
I mean, it was just, it was like the size of a rugby field in there. Like, it was huge.
Yeah.
And just slowly over time, we've just accumulated more and more and more and more. And now it's like, it's really, really well equipped. And it's almost like there's no more space. And it's just such a different, it's such a different space compared to what it was when we first grabbed it, you know. But it now fits more of the bill of what we had initially thought of what would be possible for our programming, for our intention, for the way that we wanted people to interact in the space, and how much space and safety that they would have, and just the availability for equipment. I mean, the bigger your space, the more opportunity you have for storage. So we've got a really, really good range of equipment. And I mean, even now though, it's like, okay, this is still a stepping stone to what's to come. Because I wouldn't say limited as such, but we're limited to where we see it to be, you know. And it's not like we're always trying to go and always trying to grow, because there is definitely a level of contentment that we do have. However, we just know what we're capable of, and we know what the forever home looks like. And I think that we're just people that strive towards that. And I can't wait till that day. But in hindsight, like from steps and processes and timelines, we did a good job.
Yeah, work it. So you've snatched your free 6 months, and you dragged a bunch of members from the original box across to the new location. And then what was your game plan going forward for to build your membership up over the next while? Like, how did you attack that? And was it just a natural refer on from friends, or did it just happen, or how did it go? How'd you go through it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Firstly, I knew that we had something if we got to 100 members. I knew that we had something. And we ticked on 100 members at the old gym. As soon as that day came, bang, gone. Yeah. Then when we got here, and every single, like, I'm a big pen and paper guy. I'm a big like whiteboard person. I'm not real tech savvy. I'm not clueless on it either, but like just the way I like to process and create is first like just me.
Yeah.
Just totally. Me and my thoughts, and then I can develop that and, you know, kind of comb it out a little bit. But on all my books and whiteboards and things, I would always write the number 200 every page, anything, because that was my target number. You know, there was the members that we needed in my mind, or for security of like, now we can just focus on keeping that, retaining that, rather than getting anyone new. So the whole marketing plan was never about hey, come sign up, hey, come do this, hey, 2 for 1, hey, we sell this for this price. It was, and it's always been organic. We literally only show what we do. We don't say, we don't promote ourselves. We just showcase what we do. And we had a firm belief that organically the people that will come would be the people that would want to stay here. So effectively, we don't want people giving like donation memberships, and I think we do a pretty good job of following people up that aren't using it, because we want it to be a space and a home where people are comfortable and encouraged to be here and grow as people in the community. So, I mean, it just feels not, or it doesn't feel right to have people that are like kind of just stuck in their ways, that can't get there, imprisoned in their own mental whatever situation, you know. So first of all, we'd try and help them through those things and get them through, but then obviously it's going to be a time where we're like, oh, hey, maybe you should just move on. It's okay. It doesn't mean we're any less friends, no bad blood or anything like that at all. So the marketing was just organic, and it just naturally, I think, like word of mouth, one by one, was growing, and then we were doing competitions, and we were just trying to stay active on social media and platforms and things like that. And I think we gained more success with results of competitions and things like that, and we had a pretty vigorous training program, a training regime, and that really appealed to people. But we had a space that allowed the training regime to happen. We had coaches that were just like forever trying to upskill, do their best, and we definitely are trying to promote that to this day within here, and trying to set the standard and be the standard. We consider ourselves world class, and I think that's why we have all of our members still here.
So talk me through, there's 6-4 Fitness, which is like this physical space here, and then there is also 6-4 training systems for people who are like, wait, what? Other people have asked me what the hell's the 6-4 Army as well. When we're in Aussie, they're like, wait, what's the difference between all these things? And they didn't know. For those who are listening, maybe you don't know. Explain all of that. What's the 6-4 Army? What's 6-4 TS?
That's a cool conversation. For me, anyway, obviously. So plus 6-4 Fitness came about. Toles and I were like really trying to figure out an identity that we would get behind, that would represent us, that other people would believe in, would buy into, and that would be our name and our brand. And we come up with the like elite fitness, CrossFit, goes hard, or Hundies club, whatever. And it was just like, oh, these just aren't working. And then we were like, man, like New Zealand is our identity. We need to somehow encapsulate this. And plus 6-4 is New Zealand's area code. And I was like, well, man, I know it's kind of cryptic, but if we go plus 6-4 Fitness, like that's our New Zealand fitness brand. That's all it means. And that is us to a T. Like New Zealand is our home. We're two of the most hearty New Zealanders anchored to this planet, that you'll meet. But we know that it resonates with anyone. And the other thought process was that if this was to move around the world, then plus 6-4 Fitness in Thailand, Australia, Hawaii, whatever, would still be New Zealand fitness. So that's what we're going to run with. And unfortunately, for any listeners out there that call it 64 Fitness, it's like scratching the whiteboard. It's plus 6-4, and that's the reason. It has the red ring around it for Canterbury, for Christchurch of its origin, and then black and white is the colours that represent the All Blacks flag. Because we thought that the All Blacks best represent us out on the world stage. And to be honest, I mean, I don't find solidarity in the Union Jack flag for New Zealand. Not that I'm up in arms or trying to protest or put votes in for changing flags or anything like that. I just think that those days are a little bit outdated, and to serve and protect the Queen that I've never met or has done anything for me, I don't really believe in that. So something that best represents us, I feel, or we feel, is the All Blacks, putting a good name on the world stage. So that's where the colours came from, and plus 6-4 Fitness was born. I think as a business, and I think any business, like a slogan or just like some kind of branding awareness is definitely what you're chasing. And it was during one CrossFit Open where there was like 8 of us on our training floor doing the CrossFit Open, and we all had the same singlet on. It's just 6-4 Fitness, and Toles was like, man, guys look like an army. And to us, like 8 people, were like, whoa, there's heaps, and especially in the small gym, like it was just tight. It looked like people were about to throw down.
Yeah.
And so she hashtag the 6'4" Army, and I was like, I loved it, and to this day I love it because, you know, we've grown into a pack where we've taken 100 athletes to a competition, and it's literally looked like an army, the 6'4" Army, and I think that people that are involved with CrossFit in New Zealand know that, you know, generally if one turns up, they all turn up. So for competitions, when the 6'4" Army comes out, they come out, and it's not there's no like intimidation meant behind it at all. We actually have conversations within our gym and within our community. We're like, hey, we're going to go to this competition. There's going to be 100 of us. There's going to be some people there that are 2 people. And they're 2 separate people that have come from different sides of the country, but they're like, yo, let's catch up and do this competition together. Yeah. And they're not going to have friends, or they're going to be intimidated by us. Let's set the tone of precedence of being good people, smile and wave at people, introduce yourself, help out, give help, whatever. Yeah. Clean all the rubbish down from the stands.
Yeah, that's the classic.
Look after yourselves. Yeah. You know, like leave the place better than when you found it. And the buy-in is amazing. And for me personally, like I couldn't be more proud watching that community buy-in to showcase the 6'4" Army in that light, you know, like that's amazing. And there's always great feedback from people about the 6'4" Army, just their presence and how they conducted themselves during these events. And not only that, like they shred on the floor. They just destroy the floor. Yeah. I mean, for that specific competition, we took 100 competitors. There was the RX division. We had 5 teams finish in the top 9. Doesn't happen by accident. Yeah. It doesn't happen by accident. Yeah, you know, cool. No one's paid to do this. Like they get to work on a daily basis. It's not luck. There is something special here. And I mean, I think in the past I've heard people, they cheat this, they do that, they don't do this. Turn up, come here, come see it, come and see it, witness it, live in it, and then you understand.
And I think it's different. I agree. I think some people can see the 6'4" Fitness HQ. They can see, then they can see the 6'4" Army turn up to a comp, but then they're like, I want a bit of that. And one way they can feel like they are getting a bit of that is through the 6'4" training system, which I know a little bit about just through working here. Talk me through the origin of that and also the need for that. Was it just that athletes reached out, but they weren't based in Christchurch, but they wanted to throw down and follow the programming? How did that happen?
Yeah, well, firstly, like we've seen a hole in the market. For our side of the world. However, our goal and intention was to never compete against our neighbour down the road or to, you know, jump ahead of someone in Tauranga or Auckland, Wellington, Dunedin, whatever. Yeah. It was literally like, let's do this world class. I see our gym competing against Invictus, CrossFit, Mayhem, things like that. And so I never really considered anyone else. It was like, okay, let's just do us on that scale. And part of the thought process was like, hey, we're just like we're killing it in these competitions. Our athletes are great. We clearly have some information that could be useful to others, whether that's true or false. Like that's just what we believe. How about I spend some more time into putting all this because I was writing all the programs. Why don't I put some more time in a week, probably 3 to 5 hours, to developing this for other people to use, but doing the same shit that we do, you know? So it was, for me, it was like recycle the same workload, get paid twice. Yeah. And also have it stretch and extend to many more people and build a legacy behind that because it's more important. You know, like we're living in a world where we're trying to leave our mark and we want to be remembered for something, when it's not just about, hey, I impacted 2 lives and, you know, I just made a steady income and I bought 1 house and had a car, a dog and 3 kids. It's not really what what kind of ticks us over, you know. So it was like, let's affect as many people as we can, and the only way to do this is to extend ourselves online and build a brand. And so Training Systems was born, and it had many people put their hands on it, you know, and like Callum is a huge part of it. Yourself, you're a huge part of this, and without both of you to this day, like it wouldn't be the beast that it is. And just really trying to push that forward. So it's two separate entities, and I think that's probably what we're trying to differentiate, is like, what is the 6 Foot Fitness and what is the 6 Foot Training System. So Training Systems has just become the vehicle that provides the fitness for 6 Foot Fitness and other affiliates and other individual athletes, because they're two different brand awarenesses, right? Plus 6 Foot Fitness, we didn't think could be the provider of the training to other affiliates. I think it's probably a little bit more standoffish, the conversation. I know that a lot of pride from gym owners or even just athletes would sooner not do something like that, even though they know it would be beneficial for them. It's really hard as 6 Foot Training Systems. I mean, the time and effort that goes into it to really make this like understood is just like a huge amount of time. And I still don't think to this day that people really understand like the benefit of what it can do for them as people individually or collectively as a gym. And I hope that, you know, that's still growing, and we see more people use it for the benefit of themselves, not just for us, because I mean, it's pretty insignificant, the price to pay for what you would receive. I mean, what, $300 a month to just sort out everything in your life in regards to training. All your sessions are planned out, all your coach's notes, and like how to teach what you're teaching, what you're actually trying to see, the video breakdowns, the knowledge that comes in behind it, the time and energy that goes into it, to save you. Like, if you were to write a program, in my opinion, if you were to write a program of let's say a month's worth of program for a gym affiliate, to the caliber of what we do, like, you're going to spend 40 hours to 60 hours for that 1 month period, just for that 1 month. You're going to tell me that you'd rather spend 60 hours or spend $300? Like, it doesn't work out. But I mean, like, it's not like people have to do this, but that's kind of where the level of quality that's actually in this thing, you know. And some people that are signed, like affiliates that are signed onto it, absolutely understand it, and they love it. And I mean, in times like now, with the virus and isolation upon us, the moves that we've made and the late nights that we've done and the early mornings that we're here constantly to help them through these times and adjust for their communities, just so that they're still connected with their communities and their members aren't putting memberships on cancellation or hold and things like that, how to stay connected and things that we're doing, you know, and showcasing that to the world as well, so then they can see what's actually happening. Those are things that we care about, you know. It's not just for us. It's like really let's make this a successful gig for anyone that's involved. And now 6 Foot Training Systems is in the Pacific specifically, like, it's known. It's a well-known brand. I mean, we were at the Australian CrossFit Champs 2 weeks ago. We had 5 athletes out on the floor, and 4 athletes finished top 10. 3rd, 7th, 8th, and 6th. Crazy.
That was nuts. It's funny, we're about to cut off for a break because one of the crews just knocked on the door. We'll just go say hi to them. But something that I just noticed about you, that when I started to hang out with Komi, was that he's proud, super proud of his athletes, but he's like, there's this Kiwi thing, what's it called? Tall poppy syndrome, where you're like, I don't know, in New Zealand I feel like awkward about like saying what I've achieved, or like about like, I don't know, yeah, whereas I feel like you're confident enough and you back yourself and you know the level that you're at with your athletes, with the training, because the results. It's something that I'm like still like about, like awkward. Whereas like how have you got to the level there where is it that because it's just tried and tested and you can see and compare some of your athletes against the rest of the world, or like how have you developed such confidence in the program and everything else?
I don't really understand your question.
Well, like,
do you put tall poppy syndrome in?
Yeah.
But what's the main question? Of
how have you developed such confidence in everything? Like in New Zealand, we struggle to, because like of the likes of tall poppy syndrome. That's why I mentioned it. We struggle to like be confident and say what we're good at, and share that with others. Whereas I feel like you don't have an issue with that. You're like immune to that. How?
Like, first of all, I would like to think that I walk around with humility at the forefront of my conscience.
Yeah.
But I'm also not afraid to just tell it how it is. And that's all the way I see it. I don't see it as like, yo, my athlete's gonna win this because I'm being cocky. It's like, nah, she's gonna win this because she can hold 50 seconds at this pace. She's gonna do 30 of those unbroken. What's humanly possible is calculation, blah 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 blah. I know that he can do this, she can do that, they can do this, I can do that, can do that. Because I've watched everyone. I understand A, what is humanly possible, B, who can do what, C, who's gonna get where. And
you know your athletes, though, that's the thing.
Yeah. And so with that in mind, it's like, how can you not understand the outcome if you can just finalize the outcome first and then just draw it back to the start? And there goes your plan. And so I think it's a little bit of reverse engineering, but that's it just makes, if it makes sense up here, it's probably going to happen.
I mean, right, speaking of performance, one of your big time beef athletes was about to head over to Melbourne. Ben, he's just pulled up and knocked on the door, so we'll stop and have a break and catch up with him, and then we'll get back with the podcast.
Yo.
Testing 1 2, testing 2 2,
testing 3 8,
and we are
6.2
back. We're back here with Komi, and one thing I wanted to bring up: you've shared some pretty epic books with me over the last wee while. You're a bit of a consumer of books, and talk me through some of the top favourites that you recommended. What are some of your favourite books of all time?
Man, this is tough. There's many. There are many, and I'll just make a start. Indistractable. I know I gave you that one.
Listen to that. Listen to it. Yeah, I listened to it. Yeah.
What's his name? Nira or something like that.
I can't remember. Ego was the Enemy was another one. I think
Ego was the Enemy. Ryan Holiday. That's a great book. Especially like for anyone that's involved with business, or just some relationships in general. And even if you're not involved with business, if you want to look to grow as a person, there's gems and gold mines in these books. A lot of the times I find in books and material, obviously, like if you're interested in reading something, you can find things that will align with some of your thought processes, but will articulate it in a better way. Give you a better understanding of something that you already thought to be true, or something that you had an understanding of, and it just made more clarity around that. And it's even a greater point in time when you come across something that articulates it really, really well for you, and you have a great understanding of something that you were facing in your life, or just, again, an understanding of a certain topic, but then it kind of rabbit holes your own train of thought to elaborate further on the detailing of that, and you're like, man, I could actually add value to that and extend that story. Or for me, because I do a lot of speaking in front of people every day, and a lot of programming and just like general relationship building, from my reading materials, I don't regurgitate anything, but it just is so stimulating to me that just recreates other conversations, and I can teach things in a different metaphor or things like that, and have a different understanding for people. And so reading is like high on the the priority list for myself and Tolls. So Indistractable, we've got Ego is the Enemy. Leaders Eat Last is a great one from Simon Sinek. And that's just kind of around like organization culture and business culture, which definitely relates into like this community culture for our gym, and just setting the tone for however like you interact as a person is going to trickle feed its way down to everyone else, in a nutshell.
Yep.
Rich Dad Poor Dad from Rob Kiyosaki. Yeah, great book. Great book. I mean, there's a learning in every single chapter. And I actually went back through the book and had my notes, and I like took notes down of what I was learning per chapter, and took home my takeaways. And
do you do that with all books or just that one in particular?
No, I do it with most books. So I'll generally read a book first, or like audio books are so much easier for me now. I've trained myself to listen to audiobooks anywhere between 2 times the regular speed to about 2.2. Yeah, so but I do know that I have to be engaged. Like I am like sitting staring at nothing because I am listening attentively and just trying to absorb as much as I can, and if I miss it, rewind. Because what's the point? I'm not there to tick the box. I'm there to get something from this. To be honest, like a lot of the like books like 12 Rules to Life, I think it's Jordan Peterson, and the 5 Steps to Why, and the 7 Reasons to Live, and the 8 Principles of this. Like they're all the same things from different people articulating it in a different way. But sometimes you just need to hear it from a certain perspective to understand it, you know. And so through books, I think we've definitely like developed more of ourselves into this process of 6'4", and there's another great book. It's a small book, the something on mental tools. Oh, it escapes my head right now. But I've done it like 6 times.
Really?
Yeah, it's that good. There's so much good information in there. Just for a little bit of non-fiction stuff. Is it fiction? Fiction or non-fiction? What's the
all the stuff you're talking about is non-fiction. Fiction's all the characters and the theories and the monsters.
Assassin's Creed.
Oh. Yeah,
loved it. Played the game on the PlayStation as a young kid. Bought all the books, and the books are great for anyone that just wants to just follow down and do something different. For me myself, like for a long time I was like every day must learn, have to overload myself, and then I just needed an escape. I was like, just chill, do something left field, way off the map, and just like reinvigorate yourself. And so like the fairy tale scene came in, and doing the books like that, really enjoyed it. I'm just gonna bring up a couple books on my phone.
Do it.
I don't want to miss any. That's like a passionate conversation for me.
I need to try that 2 times audio though. Whew.
You've got to be on point.
Damn.
Here's one. I read a book, The Man Who Solved the Market, and so it's on a guy, Jim Simons. And basically he created the algorithm for what they use in the stock markets right now of like, hey, when to buy, sell, and hold, right?
Buzzy.
And just started in his like warehouse, and I think he was a school teacher, and then professor at a university, then went out, done the stock markets, came back to teaching, then went back to the stock markets, was trying to create this algorithm using maths and things like that. And then there wasn't a computerized system at the time. And then him and one of his mates actually like designed the system that is currently used by all kind of brokerage firms now that develop or that use their systems in the stock markets. And like I've read a few stock markets books. I've read Unbreakable from Tony Robbins as well, and always talk about the 4K stock bonds and things like that. And it was like all this terminology, like I was like, I need to know this for my life, but really did I? And I didn't have an interest in it, but again I was like just like so determined to get through these things. And this book I really didn't get into it till about halfway. And at the halfway point, what really triggered me was they started like they started in a very small place, and then they obviously created the algorithm and were winning through the stock market. Then they were like becoming as well known as people like Warren Buffett, and Warren Buffett is obviously the
Big
legend
dog,
of the stock market world. And then it goes to talking that the two guys that created this ended up actually funding opposite sides of the last election. One ran Hillary Clinton, one ran Donald Trump.
Whoa.
And then I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And it was just like so invigorating. I was like, whoa. It was saying like personal phone calls to the campaigns. You get $2 million to do this. You get $5 million to do this. Right, here's a check to do this. And essentially, the reason why Donald Trump won was because the last surge of money that this guy pumped into his campaign. He has him on direct dial, is allowed to call him. You know, they have dinners together. They have parties together.
Yeah.
And so it makes you really, really wonder, like, what influence does money have on this world, and what decisions can you let go or get ticked off in administration, you know, to pass the bill for something that will benefit you just because you help someone else. Yeah. So that was like, for me, that was huge. That was huge. I did that book on a flight to Hong Kong. Right. Yeah, it was crazy. It's crazy. Yeah. The Great Mental Models. That's what it was called. The one before. Bear Grylls survival stories, great. Yeah, really? Great. I've also read the original Bear Grylls story where he climbed Mount Everest. I mean, the dude is crazy. Yeah. If you want to find a guy that you're just like interested in and he does some cool shit, Bear Grylls, hands down, just a great dude. Yeah. And like grew up small town, country, farming kind of thing. Motorbikes and like little river kayaks was his gig, mountain climbing, and then obviously just became the person that he is today. Shoe Dog, Phil Knight. Great book. The founder of Nike. Absolute great book. Put like a lot of reassurance in myself through business. Opened my mind up to like taking the risk for a lot of things. Not that we weren't doing that anyway, but just like, what the hell if it goes wrong, you know, like just continue to do so. And cool. Just the way that he kind of pioneered the business of Nike and to see what it's become is like, everyone wants to be a part of Nike, right? I'll just do one more. Yeah. Do you want me to do more?
No, yeah, after you.
Never Split the Difference from Chris Voss was a good book. So he was an ex FBI negotiator for 20 or 30 years, and would do like bank robberies, negotiation on side of the phone, ransoms and murders and all kinds of things. And it was just like telling you how things kind of work in terms of negotiation, and like times of like, he's got a trick called mirroring where someone would say something and you wouldn't necessarily reply. You would just, so like if you were to say so it would be, you want $1,000, and I'll be like, so $1,000. You know, they're like, it just makes it make more sense in your head. There's something of like guiding you to the answer that I want you to have, rather than me telling you that because you're immediately defensive, to break that down, like to go against that. If I was to tell you this is what we're going to do, rather than like try and push you to that outcome, so then you feel like you got there, is like going to be a way far more successful situation for what I want to happen. So that was like a really, really cool book, and just some really interesting stories, and probably just from your everyday life you're not thinking about, like robberies and deaths and murders and things like that. They developed a team in the or a term rather in the FBI called the Black Swan, which basically meant in a negotiation you may not have a piece of information that could be so crucial to getting this thing over the line, and that piece of information they termed the Black Swan, because they had owned in I think like early 1700s or something like that, the English had never seen a black swan. There was only white swans, right? And they would just never to have known that these things existed. Then they went out to Australia and they seen a black swan, and then like life changed. Wow, that was a piece of information we didn't know existed. But the term is for like something that could have cataclysmic like changes on the situation, and like you don't even know it exists until it exists.
Yeah.
And then like, oh shit, you've got like 3 kids. You didn't even know that. I'm gonna like kind of like horse you around to like the thinking of your kids, and then you're gonna let this kid go in that fashion, right? But just as soon as I had finished this book, I was in China, and literally as soon as I finished that book and that term black swan, I seen a fucking black swan. I was like, what the hell? Like, this is like destiny. I didn't even know if I had seen one in my life.
Yeah.
But now there was like just one singular swan. It was at the panda.
Trippy.
We went to the panda reserve.
Oh
yeah, the panda reserve, and that's where all pandas on planet Earth are. If they're out anywhere else, they're loaned from that specific sanctuary.
Yeah.
There's 2,000 of them. So any panda belongs to that absolute sanctuary.
Whoa.
And I was just buzzed out at this one swan. Everyone was like, panda, panda. And I just read this book and I was like, fucking swan. You're not supposed to be here. Like, of all things. I was just tripping out. So that, Never Split the Difference, Chris Voss. And I'm going to leave you with the last one, The Motivation Manifesto, Brendon Burchard. Now, this book is probably the most intellectual, articulate book that I have come across. Like, I needed a dictionary. I needed a thesaurus. I read it like, I read the physical book twice. There's highlighter marks in it from tolls. Like, I'm like, okay. Yeah. But I've done the audio book on it 3 times.
Wow.
Because I couldn't extract what I needed to out of it. And there's just gold mines everywhere. Brendon Burchard, man, well done. This book is amazing. The Motivation Manifesto. And I won't even begin to try and articulate it to anybody. I would just say, like, get your hands on it, have a dictionary ready.
Get a highlighter, yeah.
Grab a highlighter, get some of those little stick-it notes, and you'll have a great time. You'll definitely take home more than one valuable piece of information for your life. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, but I know we do have, this is like our last day of freedom before isolation, so we should wrap up. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on the plan for the next month for you and the business, and what are you going to do with this next 4 weeks?
Yeah, well, it's kind of tricky times. Ideally, I wouldn't mind a couple of days off. You know, and I know that there's going to be many people that are like, time off, blah blah blah, but that's not kind of how we work. And the fact of the matter is that this actually probably causes more workload upon us, because our original, well, for me anyway, like, I've taken less time from coaching. I coach like a handful of classes a week. Yep. But yet I'm still here from early morning to late night every day, and that's because of the other things that go on within the business. But for me, main goal is that anyone that's involved with us is just healthy and safe, and that is definitely the forefront of our conscious, just to keep people protected, and especially mentally, like just so they're not getting imprisoned in their own mind, and kind of falling into depression or things like that, you know. And that could really happen. It's a very real situation, from loss of jobs and wages, and, you know, stress of living situations, and income either not coming in or expenses still going out, and, you know, that can only last so long. And
totally,
you know, that's probably my biggest query around governments at the moment, and I can only imagine that they all see that, you know, you're not going to create a worse monster by trying to do something good by putting everyone into isolation, but in fact their pressures of their social pressures and living pressures are far outweighing the risk of going outside to get a disease. And you know, that's how theft and robberies and home domestic violence and riots start and things like that. So I don't think that it will get to that situation because of governments, but I definitely hope it doesn't. But you know, that's just where my mind is at, is like, how can we help people through this situation. For me, I'm still going to work. I feel like I've been chasing my tail for the last 5 years, and I've always only like kind of just crossed the line, and I want to use this 4 weeks to just run far in front of that line as I can, just so then it's just like just taking the pressure off from a weekly basis. I mean, I want to get a weekend back again. I haven't had a weekend for years and years and years. I haven't had a Sunday to myself or with me and my partner, or a Saturday off, and you know, I want to work towards that, and just still producing high quality content, information, and things, and just getting that balance right of filling our own cup, you know.
Nice.
Yeah, it's not about being selfish. It's not about not doing for others. It's just about, hey, I think if we if we support ourselves as best we can, then we're going to be better supporters of others. And yeah, so the next 4 weeks is just going to be an interesting time. I'm still going to be in and out of the office and in the gym. I'm pretty lucky that, you know, it's hours, and so home is only 2 minutes drive away, and I don't think isolation is going to restrict us from being in our own space. Yeah, but I wonder what like our expenses are like with our leases and all our other commitments to services and billings and things like that. But I mean, we'll just cross that bridge as it comes, and we're still trying to connect our community, and we've got all our gear going in on a sign-out basis to keep them all fit at home, and we're writing all the workouts and things like that, you know, all the extra workouts that they can do, and still trying to do the daily workouts as well. And yeah, but I'm going to use this as a chance just to take an extra 5 breaths. And
Nice. Bit of box breathing will be sweet.
Absolutely.
Man. All right, well, thanks for coming in. If people want to check out anything that we've mentioned in the podcast, if they want to check out some of the 6'4's handles on Instagram or Facebook, what are some of the handles, or where do you want to send people?
Wow, that's a great question, because I don't actually have Instagram, and you're the media man for anything that I do, so it's probably a question suited to you.
I'll jump in. Yeah, it's probably a good idea for people to head at this stage to our website if they want to have a quick look. So 6'4trainingsystems.com is the website, and you can have a look at the at-home workouts. We've got 50 there, then we've got 20 like hero workouts. So if you are bored and maybe you don't have much equipment, then there's some things there. But yeah, obviously plus 6'4 fitness. We've got accounts up the wazoo. If you follow me on Quality Antics, you'll see 6'4 Training Systems account gets shared, or I talk about it a bunch. So check them out there. But thanks for coming in. All the best for the next 4 weeks, and maybe we'll have a chat sometime soon.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.